This episode is brought to you by California Avocados Direct. Real hand-picked avocados straight from the family farm to your doorstep. No warehouse, no middleman, just rich, buttery flavor delivered fresh. If you care about what fuels your body, this is for you. Head to CaliforniaAvocadosDirect.com and use the code The Athletic School for 10% off your first order. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Athletic School podcast. Today, I'm sitting down with Tauan Salgado, a former college soccer player who's now a coach, a recruiter, and founder of Lakeland United FC in Florida. He's someone who's experienced the game on multiple levels as a player, a leader, and now as someone helping shape the next generation. So, Tawan, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Igor, and it's a big pleasure to talk about the game that we love so much, but at the same time leadership and if I can put myself in the leadership position, speaking that way, that we can continue to help shaping the culture as a whole and individuals as individuals within the game that we love and that has changed and transformed our own personal lives.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, let's go back to when you were playing. Um, when you end up your career playing, how did that look like? Was the plan to become a coach? Was the plan to become a recruiter? What was your mind at when you were a player and transitioning to a new role?
It's a great question. I have to rewind back a little bit, but I played professional in Brazil until I was 23, 24 years old. I came to America. I'm from 1990, so I came in 2014 when I was 24. Um, I remember that when I came to America, I didn't see myself as a coach, as a soccer coach per se, but I saw myself somehow in a leadership position in a near soon to be future. I still have some hopes to continue in the professional path as a player, but I think that had already started to die down inside of me. And I think in my third year in college, when I transferred to Southeastern University and under the leadership and the guidance of Coach Clay Roberts, I think Clay was the first coach in my life and career that in a subjective way, he invited me. I'm not saying he invited me one day, but in a broad way, he invited me to his world. And I remember going to his office, and he was mixing the board pieces and talking about formations, talking about character, talking about what I see. And I do that today with our guys. I love to do that. Construct something, build something with the input from the players. Like, what do you see in this behavior and that behavior? What do you see from us, from the staff? What can we do better? So I think in 2017, 16, 17, play for Southeastern University, Clay sparked that in me, and then immediately he gave me a job as a camp coach. As youth soccer, he started giving me those pathways. And I think I fell in love with it and never wanted to look back. And I Fernando Diniz, Brazilian coach, he says I was a player to become a coach. That was the given mission from God, if you believe in God. But I think the same. I'm a much better leader and coach and director and a recruiter. Not saying I'm the best in what I do, but I'm much better than I was as a player. And I think you open up some wires in a part of my brain that I didn't recognize at first when I played for such long, like almost 12, 13 years playing my career. But I think in this side now that we are, it just made me a better person and a better professional, in general. So.
Mm-hmm. So when you end up playing, did you had a clear path that you wanted to follow when you were at the end of your college career, or things just were happening naturally?
I love to talk about that, Igor, because I'm gonna take in a situation now that is happening lately. I don't own the truth. I don't know it all, but I think people talk about the new generation. There's always like the new generation. It's always been the same. It's cyclical, and the world changes, and there's different aspects of life. But the one thing that kind of bothers me a little bit today, it's like the internet is giving everybody a voice, which is great. But everybody's coming up with rules, right? Rules and methods for ABC to achieve success, to conquer the pathway. I always say that my rule is that there's no rule, right? So that's the only thing that I kind of bash on the internet people today. I hate when I see the 5 steps for this, the 4 steps for that. Some things are more objective, right? The 5 steps to get a driver's license is objective. You just gotta follow a path. But I'm using that argument because at least for me, myself, I am an intuition kind of guy. I remember an interview that I saw a couple years ago, and then it helped securing me that, it helped me being sure of how I see the world, which was, she was a lady, I forgot her name. She was she was a big manager at Apple, and now she's one of the biggest managers of Burberry. And they asked her, what's your biggest, what do you, what's the word I'm missing right now, but what's the reason for your success, something like that. And that in other words, how do you explain that? And she said, my intuition. And I'm the same. So with that, going back to your question, I follow my heart. It sounds very cheesy and cliche, but it is God, the plan that he has for me in my heart. I understood early on in life, and that's a kind of like a gift that I have. It's almost like a sixth sense to read the pathway, right? So I'm gonna give you a quick example story just to finish up the question. But when I became a coach in January 2019, I had just graduated December 18. In March or April, I felt alive in a way that I never felt before. And I remember, actually, it was 1 year later. I went to Lindsay Wilson College as a coach, NAIA assistant coach, and then I came back to Florida, and I was coaching for the Villages USL2 youth, U15, U16. And I remember putting the cones, and it was like at the end of the day at 7 p.m. or something. There was a sun going down, and it's beautiful and a breeze. And I never felt so alive. I've been feeling like that at that time by a year already. And I remember thinking, I don't want to do anything else in my life. I just want to coach. That's my calling. I don't want to recruit. I don't want to be a director. I want to coach on the grass, smell the grass. This is what I want to do. Fast forward 2 years later, 2022, I completely lost it. It was like this. I don't know how to explain, Igor. Somehow the company, and I believe Lakeland United, our club, is a bigger plan than all of us from God. Somehow in my heart, I joke with our director of soccer today, Coach Eric. He used to be our head coach, and I was the director. And he's like, Tauan, can you run a session today? Help me out. I was like, I can't. It's not in me anymore. And I kind of hate it, but I wanted to be on the field talking to the guys and leading them somehow. But again, with me, and I hate to come up as a rule. It's not a rule. Whoever's watching, it's not a rule. I'm not giving you the pathway for the goal. The rule for me is that there's no rule. Listen, and the only rule for me, and that's a rule that I come up with, but I don't like to make it seem like a rule. Like, listen to your heart, listen to yourself, follow your intuitions, follow, voices in your head or in your heart. That has worked for me. For the past 10 years of my life, beautiful things happen by doing that. And I know a lot of successful people and athletes, they say the same thing in the biggest stage, and it makes a complete sense for me, but it might not for some people. That the most important thing in their family is putting food on the table and maybe take on a job that they don't love it, but it works for them, right? But for me, it's still like that naturally. I was talking to you before off air. I do spreadsheets today in finances. I used to hate that, and I kind of fell in love lately. I don't know how to explain,
Yeah, no, I totally resonate with that. So I mean, your mind changed a lot throughout the years, like you just said. But what does success mean to you now compared to when you were a player, when you were an athlete?
Wow, that's an awesome question as well, and I think I have given some thought about that before, and I think I'm gonna go in this answer with this. I think the biggest thing that being on this side of the ball, we'll call it, right, either director, recruiter, owner, whatever you are, working with sports, high level sports, competitive, for me is the feeling, the knowledge, and the notion that winning is not everything, right? Winning games, winning championships, winning trophies. Success is a very subjective concept. Um, I tend I tend to lead with passion and happiness, right? If I'm happy in doing what I love, and but then if I'm losing every game on a high competitive setup, I don't know, but then I'm transforming players and I'm getting them contracts somewhere, but my team is losing. It's tough, right? But for me, the way I see it, it used to be more shallow, right? Win games, sign a professional contract, win championships. Again, I don't want to sound cheesy and cliche, but today's transform lives. For me, there's one aspect of life and our job that I love, which is like when we say kill one bird with two stones, I like to think life as killing one bird with 5 different stones.
Mhm.
Um, the work that I do today, sometimes I'm like, I'm being able to change this life, but change my life, help my family, help this, and make the world better, and win a game, and have supporters being happy. I'm like, this is success for me. There's so many lives being built with passion, love, and happiness, and meaning, with mission, right? Again, I'm a very philosophical guy. It's hard to define things in an objective way, but that's what I'll lead. Today, I'm more philosophical than ever. It works for me, and I hope it works for the people that I have a daily connection and I touch, even if it is low, or high level of impact. But that's what I'll see. It used to be more shallow. Now it's just bigger than myself.
Mhm. So yeah, I mean, when before, from my understanding, you would say that winning is winning games, winning championships. But what does winning looks like to you today? Like, if at the end of the day you're saying, okay, I'm a winner, how did that day look like for you?
Awesome. I'm loving this, man. I love this, the philosophical or the message. I'm going to leave the office today. I'm going to go have lunch by myself and restructure my thoughts. I told you, talking about that and thinking about that. But I'll give you an example. Just happened with this season. We have a coaching staff right now at our club, Lakeland United, that I love to death. Number one for me is always human beings, right? Our head coach, Pedro, assistant coach, Alex, Rafa, assistant coach, Amanda, the trainer, Renato, Andrea, all the guys that work with us, Silva, Du, João. Like I'm just so blessed that I was able to, with the help of the business partners and the directors, to put a team of people that is unbelievable. I can't express my gratitude for that. And then comes this next phase. You're an unbelievable human being, and maybe doing bad work. Maybe you're being lazy. Maybe you're not putting the effort you're in stage in your life that is just things just been messed up and weird, and it happens. And this season with Lakeland United, we're playing the summer season here in America right now for the people that understand that level in that world, the semi-pro level. Things was just clicking. Everybody working amazingly together and giving their all. And I had in my mind, again, it's a sixth sense that I have, Igor. I couldn't explain, but like we started this season, the summer season, beginning of May, mid-May, I knew we were gonna win the conference. And it's a tough conference here. There's tough teams, right? Our program is pay for play, right? The guys investing in the club, and some clubs are even paying players and all. And I knew it. And I knew it. Like, winning the. And I told the coaches every day, if you lose, doesn't matter. Your guys' job is freaking amazing. I've been loving this. But somehow, when we talk about high level sports, that trophy, that win in that championship, it's a testament. It's a closure, right? We kind of need that, and I wish I didn't, and usually I don't. But then we did one, and it's just the way you win it. Coaches, they go more tacticals because of this and transition and the mistake. I'm like, guys, don't talk to me about that. You guys know me by now. It's meant to be. If they had shot 4, 5, 7 balls without a goalkeeper in goal, the ball would have gone out. It was meant to be because of who we are and what we have been able to build. So that's stage one for my answer for you. Is like, in a high level competitive sports, the winning matters. I need that to prove a point to myself and to the organization. I kind of need that. But in a more broad way, to answer your question, again, winning for me is doing good work, helping people, being a good human being, and getting different specific results, right? Maybe I don't win the championship, but like, I got scholarships for all my players. I got them professional contracts. They changed their lives. They were like, in 2022, we made Final 8 UPSL Nationals, and there was a bunch of guys who called that season in the club of second chances. Guys that got injuries, guys that got kicked out of clubs in Brazil, got kicked out of colleges, were able to beat everybody together, and they left here with a new life. That's winning for me, right? So again, it's very philosophical, but it goes back to passion, freedom, creativity, courage, and happiness above all. But there is some tangibles, if you lose every game, if they hate the coaching staff, the players hate the coaching staff, hate the day-to-day, that's not winning. That's not success, right? I don't see a success in that. So it's a big world that I built in my head, and somehow I can tell if I'm being successful or not, but it's hard to pick up every single piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm. And going off on Lakeland United, why did you start Lakeland? Because I mean, honestly, and I don't want to be biased or anything, I only heard good things about Lakeland. I know some of the players that play there before, that keep going back every summer to play there.
Yeah.
Why did you start Lakeland? It was because of soccer, or was something deeper that you wanted, that you had it within you?
it was actually zero philosophical at all. Like I've been leading this podcast. It was zero philosophical. It was just, it was meant to be. It was God. It was whoever want to believe it was supposed to happen. But just a quick story. It's fun. I love telling this story. I was at Lindsey Wilson College in Kentucky working as an assistant coach, and I was working at Goodwill for a community service that I had to fulfill. And my phone rang. The next day, I don't remember the day, but let's say it was a Tuesday. On the Wednesday, I was leaving Lindsey Wilson by car, driving back to Florida. My wife, by the time she was girlfriend, soon to be fiance, she was here, and I was coming for the break, for the December break, and didn't have much money, or still college broke, and I was still a new assistant coach, and I needed a place to stay midway because it's a 14-hour drive from Kentucky to Florida. And midway is Atlanta, 7 hours from Kentucky and 7 hours from Atlanta here to Florida, to Central Florida. And my phone rings a number from Atlanta. And I need a house to stay next day. Most likely couldn't afford a hotel. And it was an old friend of my family that has worked with soccer in Brazil and was working soccer in America. Silvio called me. He wanted to introduce Werner, which is our club CEO today. Silvio's not with us anymore. We bought him out of the company. He chose to go a different pathway of business. But anyways, and then they just say, we want to start a soccer club. We'll see that you're doing well in America. We want your help. And to summarize, Lakeland United, they thought about a soccer club in a more broad way, and I was already helping moving kids scholarships, doing it for free, just for fun, getting network with coaches. And I proposed to them, we did it together. It wasn't obviously solely my idea, but we said, why don't we create a program that is semi-pro, high level, but there's a bigger mission, not winning games, finding kids scholarship, getting them to college, opening doors, even at the professional level. Yesterday, the lead scout for the Tampa Bay Rowdies was in our session in the morning, watching and scouting players for the pro level. Not saying they're going to sign. We've been able to sign 6 kids professional contracts in 4.5 years, directly or indirectly. But again, I just thought, why not create a club that has a bigger mission to be a bridge, to move them forward, right? On top of winning games and being known as a very high level club, So it was 2019 and we started 2021. It was 2 years of exchanging ideas and building something, and it has worked out exactly like I kind of predicted. On that night that we got together for a dinner in Atlanta, I kind of predicted what's happening today. And again, my sixth sense started hitting me. I was like, I know where this is going, and now I know where it's going in 10 years, but I'll hold that for now.
Yeah, maybe in 10 years we have to jump in a podcast again. So you mentioned that you lost the drive to be a coach, and now you are a recruiter. But what drives you today when you're not on the field? Like, do you feel a joy when you are recruiting? What does drive you to, like, okay, let me leave my house and let me go to Lakeland today and do the best way possible I can, do the best job I can? Like, what's driving you?
Oh, this is excellent as well. And yeah, I think I'm gonna go in 2 different ways. Like I because I've been doing recruitment so much, so many calls, so many. I'm not saying that I'm tired, but I'm saying some of the things today. And again, my personality is the inspiration is very high. I never finish things, movie, books. I have to jump from project to project. It's who I am, and I've read and saw some leaders talking about that. It's a condition, so it's a flaw. I gotta get better, but it's a condition that if I can channel the right way, I can be successful. But I don't think I have the same passion today to recruit. Sometimes I get a play that I really like. Sometimes that revives in me and that comes back alive. But I think today, and again, it's like a chameleon. I've been changing my whole life for the past 2 or 3 years. Today is to build a unit, right? A club as a unit. I think that when I leave my house in the morning, you're gonna get to the training in the morning. I'm not there every day in training, but let's say like 2, 3, 4 times a week, depending on it. And I see, the coaches and the director of operations and the players and the stadium that we rent and the, the things that we bought for the club, the new balls. I think for me, what drives me is to see a company, and I fell in love kind of. I don't want to sound like the Instagram people as well. Nothing wrong with them, but I don't want to sound like those entrepreneurship guys that just put entrepreneurship as their only, saving route of human beings. It's not. Some people were born to work for other people and they do it perfectly, you know. I used to be one of those guys, but today, because it's my project, maybe I just love building that the cohesion of, like, you know, the company structures and fragments and everything coming together and coming alive on a game day when we win. I get so emotional because we're winning, we're playing good football, which is hard to try to do what we do, playing Fernando Diniz possession football. Finding the coaches that believe on that, but the coaches are different amongst them, but they believe in somehow in something that I believe as well. And then the people are being nice and kind, which I profess in life that I want kind people to win. In soccer, not being the tricky guy, the guy that is likes to take advantage. No, just to be like Jesus walk the earth, but competitive and hard on the game, you know, but kind and nice, you know. And I see all that together with the company paying the bills and and winning games, and you know the structures of the company is working well. This gives him the biggest joy. It might happen in 2 years. I might have people leading those processes and just go back to something that I love, which is create new projects, you know, which I wanted to today, but I don't have time and energy for that. But you know, I'm a very interchangeable guy. I'll change, you know, tomorrow. But today is this, you know, seeing a company working, you know, and the mechanisms coming all alive together with some objective things, but with the subjective philosophical way permeating in all of that, like in the midst of all of that, you know.
You mentioned earlier that you're really into the human being. Um, so as not as a coach anymore, but as a recruiter, how do you help the athlete to see themselves not only as a player but as a human being? Because you mentioned like you don't want to go coaching, but you
Yeah.
want to still go there and talk to them. How do you help them, you know, find themselves more than just a soccer player?
That should be an easier answer. Awesome, amazing, great question. That should be an easier answer because I go back to being. It's subjective still, but being a good human. I go back to. I'm not a. I'm a very good Christian. Like, I don't read the Bible that much. I don't. I watch more podcasts, listen to songs, watch through documentaries and movies. I'm not a Bible reader, but I'll go back to how Jesus walked the earth, right?
Mhm.
um, Love and true, two biggest words that define him in the Bible for me: love and true, right? So and I hate that this sounds cliche and cheesy, but anyways, you know, be a good father, a good husband, a good friend, you know, help the next man. One thing since I was little that I used to get me, and my wife sometimes she gives me some reality check because I like to give money to people in the street, and sometimes they're scammers, and she calls me gullible because I believe in anything. But this AI thing is killing me. Every day there's something on Instagram. I was like, wow, she's like, this AI. Oh man. But anyways, so I tell the guys every day, and that's something. It's and you didn't even know that, but it's a great question because it's a theme, it's a recurring theme of Lakeland United in our season. When we won the conference, I put them together and I said to all of them, good things happen to good people, right? Some people may disagree because they're great people and their life is not set in the right path right now, and I feel for them. With me just been working because I'm listening to this voice and following a bigger plan that I have for myself. So every day I would try to teach them, let's be more objective now, soccer wise speaking, right? Our goalkeeper Daniel delaying the game. We'll go 1-0, is delaying the game. Don't do that. We're gonna win being the most nice and fair game, you know, fair play. I love the fair play. Guy get injury, don't put the ball in the goal, put it out. Man, this is competitive. Just do that. Just, I'm not saying I want to lose, in
Mhm.
spite of that, but I'm just saying that we're gonna do and win with that, right? Because also I want to put my hat on a pillow and say, like, I won, and there's no questions that they can put. Oh, but when the guy was down with the ball, I don't want questions. I want it to be clean, right? But I also think it's only one life, maybe this reincarnation, but like, it's in this one life that we have. I want to be, get to 60 and 70. I did all these right little things, and it works, people. I promise you, it works. There's no scheme, there's no, easier route. Work hard, and things take time, So we
Mhm.
try to introduce that, like our former coach Adriano, one of the you probably remember him playing in Brazil. Adrianinho played for Ponte Preta, Flamengo, Corinthians. Was a big time player in Brazil. He's one of the nicest, if not the nicest, kindest human being I've ever met in my life. He's a different spirit. It's crazy. Evangelical, nice guy. He's just biggest family man I've ever met. First meeting we had for me to hire him, I was telling him, Adriano, let me tell you something very subjective, philosophical. I hate when goalkeepers delay the game. I hate when the guys kick the ball out, right? And the other team is gonna, or when you're gonna get the ball from the goalkeeper and go, the goalkeeper holds the ball when you gotta reinitiate the game. Why you do these little things? And Brazilians, they have that, I call the cancer, that they grew up on that. And Adriano was like, it looks like he was looking his whole life for a place and for somebody to share that with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people are like, oh, did you hire him? The tactical, the Guardiola said, oh, he's a great coach, of course. But no, like my connection is this. Okay, I found a human being, and I had other Eric, now Pedro, or all of our coaches have that in common. They wanna, they love. I feel the spark in their eyes when we talk about those little things. So how do you put that in a training day? It's tough, right? Because it's energetic and it's dynamic. You know, you kick the guy by accident, lift him up. Sorry, mate. Let's next one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be kind, be tough, but be kind. So there's a way to do it. Very subjective. We'll be able to accomplish some we're not. Sometimes I look at the game, I was like, we should have been nicer and kinder and firmer. But it's tough. But I think we do it to the best of our abilities and our resources today.
Yeah. And something that I wanted to mention, because and you didn't use those words, but I think it's leading by example, kind of what you're doing. Because I remember that maybe, I don't know, 2 years ago, we jumped in a call about me coming to Lakeland, and then you mentioned to me, and you were very straightforward. Like, look, this is the price. If you come, this is the price, and we already have a goalkeeper. You're not gonna be the starter, but we can give you enough games so you can go somewhere else, so you can find something better. And I think that was that honesty that stand out for me, because it was huge. Because for me, like, no coach calls a goalkeeper and say, like, look, you are not their starter, but I want you to come and I'll give you enough, to help you out. And that was just huge for me. And that's why, like, the other day I had Gabriel from the Gabriel Wemura here, and then we were talking about you a little bit, and I talked to him, like, why are you honest? Why don't you, there's so many agencies in Brazil telling, not necessarily lies to these guys, but not necessarily telling the truth, just to get their money, and throw them here and let them figure out, like, why are you doing things in such a honest way. um, and then he mentioned about you, how you do those things, and he was like, I'm gonna do it that honest way as well, and things are working out for him. So you didn't mention that, but I think, it makes so much sense when you lead by example. I had coaches that were telling me, and as a goalkeeper, I hate when people are, wasting the game as well, and I try not to do it either. But of course, there's this, like, okay, let's slow the game down a little bit, because we're having so much pressure. But another thing is, like, the keeper taking the ball all the way to the side of the box to grab the ball, just to waste time. That's totally different. And I had coaches like, oh, take the piss, take the piss, take the piss. I'm like, well, that's the mindset that, we might win this game here, but we're not going to win the championship. We're not going to win the national tournament, because that's the mindset. It might work we might even win a ring. But in life, I don't think we're going to win because we have that mindset. You know what I mean? And yeah, so I resonate 100%. And I absolutely hate when people, I was playing recreational soccer the other day here, 7v7, and these guys are just wasting time. They're winning and they're joking around, and I'm like, that just pissed me off so much, and it's tough when we see professional players do that too, because, like, come on, guys, like, we should be better. We should respect each other in a way. But yeah, you didn't mention that, but I think, the way that you are doing things off the field, I think influences the players, and they see those things as well, and that's how they decided, like, I'm not gonna take the piss, because I know Tauan is working hard there, and he didn't lie to me when I was coming. So I think those things are very important.
I can tell one thing. If I'd have known that side of you, I would have tried to recruit you harder in the past.
Quick break before we jump back in. As a vegan and a hybrid athlete training for an Ironman, what I eat really matters. That's why I have partnered with CaliforniaAvocadosDirect.com. They deliver fresh, hand-picked avocados straight from their family farm in California to your door. No processing, no storage, just straight from the tree to your table. They grow different kinds of avocados throughout the year, like Reed, Fuerte, and Hass. Every order comes with 100% satisfaction guarantee. And what I like the most is that you can even subscribe so you never run out of real food packed with vitamins and minerals to support how you train and recover. Use the code TheAthleticSchool at checkout to get 10% off. Check the show notes for the link. Also, a big thanks to California Avocados Direct for backing up my training and believing the mission. Now, let's get back to the show.
It's all we need here, man. We're gonna work together still one day, but and it's so rare to find Igor, so and it shouldn't, but it's like a mission as well to transform more people to be like that, because that's the way I see the world. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I see the world like that, and I want more people like that. I might be wrong. I always say that joke when I die, I'm gonna have so many questions to ask God. First interaction, I got it. Just have a list here quick before I move on to the path.
Yeah.
See if I was right. But people say when you die, you have total conscience. But anyways,
Yeah.
so here's the thing. The one point that you made, and I love it. We have bad examples, and I hate to point out to people, because who am I, but like, we have bad examples in the world of soccer because they do that, because in Brazil, the player in the Libertadores, they're always fighting, pushing each other. It's like, that's wrong. It's like grown man, 35 years old with kids and wife at home. Nothing is, it's that object and that easy to act on it. Like, I'm the most peaceful, calm guy. I never fought in my life. I hate it. And there was times in the soccer match that I kind of threw a punch by accident because the guy was grabbing my hair, and somehow my nerves got. I was like, wow. And I am the most peaceful guy you've ever meet in a soccer match. Like, guys would follow me and be stupid. I was like, guys, I love you. I'm sorry. Like, I'll be that kind of, like, people thought I was crazy, especially in Brazil. I was playing Brazil. Like, you're freaking idiot, But anyway, so here's the thing, right? I told you that the two words that I love in the Bible a lot, truth and love. But I usually say, and I say that in when I'm recruiting a player in a family, I say that to them. I say, listen, I'm gonna lead this call with the biggest truth you ever seen. Not saying I'm, I do things in a way like special that you never seen before. But I tell them that my favorite phrase in the Bible is, the truth will set you free, right? And again, truth is subjective. Some truth are objective, but truth is subjective. Like, oh, you cannot play professional. You don't have that level. That's subjective. I don't know. It's my feeling, but it's my heart, and this is me. That's me saying, right? So you stick with it. That is just my opinion, okay? But for me, I love to talk about that, Igor, because for me, that's the biggest flaw. Like you say, agencies, coaches, they're some of them, maybe the 10% are schemers, and they mean ill, they mean bad for you, they mean to get your money and run away. I truly think, and my wife will call me gullible, but I truly think that 80-90% they don't know that they're doing a disservice by not being completely and uttermost honest in a ruthless sometimes way. Again, I'm the coolest, calm guy, but when I get in a call, sometimes some parents get upset with me because I said, listen, I don't see your kid becoming professional in 10 million lives. It's not gonna happen. Let's go to plan B. I'm telling you, it's not gonna happen. He doesn't have the level. I'm always careful with that as well, because I've seen it. Guys that I thought, no way, and they did, and but I still rooting for them. I don't want to prove a point on that case, But again, I've been able to find success. I'm gonna tell a quick story right now. I think you and your audience are gonna like it. The world of college soccer has so many agents, so many people wanting to come here today. It's grown exponentially and keeps happening. We forgot that the exchange student, like when I'm 35 now, and it should be 17, 18, 15, there was that old school exchange. You go to Ireland and you work on a pub and you make some money, you learn English, right? That's an exchange program, right? Today, especially in Brazil, our home country, there's this thought that everybody has to play and everybody can play, right? Soccer or whatever sports. That's not the reality. And if you have, like, we call it escolinha in Brazil, the little academies, the recreation academies, that's great, because what's your service? You're offering activity, you're offering health, right? Community. That's what you're offering now. we're the biggest for exchange, and and we're gonna place everybody in college to play soccer. But it depends. For me wanting to play basketball on a scholarship, it's not gonna happen, right? But the company makes me believe on that, and I'm a firm believer like you can do in life, right? Some people don't like that, if you work hard, you can. I'm firm believer in changing scenarios and big dreams. But anyway, so I think like a quick story that I said I was gonna tell. We had a player last fall, Fernando Cano, from Mexico. Every day in the morning, it looks like he was unhappy. Our training is like 7 in the morning. So wake up at 6, get on the team van, go to training, and he looks unhappy. And then coaches or maybe players, they question like, this guy is hating the experience, or like he's a bad professional because he's sluggish, but then talking to Fernando since the day I recruited him, I'm like, he's somehow a special kid in some areas, because he was always on top of his game academically. And then I found out he was a 4.0 GPA. When we had optional days in the college we have a partnership here that the guys go to, everybody stay at home. It's like, coach, the van is still taking me today. So Fernando, it's optional. Yeah, I want to go. I love college. And then it hit me, and I love when it happens, right? I just start building a crazy world in my head. I remember I went to training and said, Fernando, I need to talk to you on a very serious note. It was November. He had signed with us from August to April, a full 9-month year contract with Lakeland United. And I talked to him and said, Fernando, I think you love being a soccer player, but what I think it is, you love the idea of being a soccer player, right? Because you see on Instagram, because you see your friends. You hate being a soccer player. How can you tell that to a kid? But at the same time, how can you do it? But at the same time, how can you do? How can you say that in a nice way, the nicest way possible? And I went on to talk to him and said, Fernando, you're a brilliant student. You think out of the box. Every time I'm in the car with him, take him somewhere, we just have these amazing conversations. Here on the field, people that only know you as a player right now for Lakeland United, they think you're a poor professional. They think you're sluggish. They think you're lazy, right? You're not. And I won't let anybody tell that, but we gotta change the pathway so people don't perceive you that way, because you're inserted in a place that you're not supposed to be. Why don't you go to UCF, USF on a Latin American scholarship, the LAC, and I told him with that kind of honest, I said, listen, you're a kind of player to pay 20,000. You're that kind of player, you're in that bracket for me, right? And the LAC is 15, 18,000, depending on it. So we're gonna be better off not playing, but with the LAC. And if you get an LAC, it's only in the big schools, UCF, USF, you're never gonna play soccer for them, ever. So I'm constructing a tough, honest way, but then I go I lead with a beautiful pathway, which it is, Fernando. You have no idea what it is a life as a student, USF, UCF, big schools, um, extracurricular activities. The dean of the departments are just brilliant guys that you can learn with, and you're gonna have field trips, and you're gonna be able to party as well if you want to party. There's nothing wrong with
Mhm.
that. If you're a soccer player in my team, I don't want that, because you work with your body and your body's a temple. But it's okay if you're just a student, right? If you do it moderately and you can control yourself. So I told him that, and he was in shock at first, and then he was like, he's thinking for a couple of days, and Coach Tauan decided. It's funny, he didn't go to UCFS at first. He went to Hillsborough Community College, the school that we have a partnership in Lakeland, but the campus that we have a partnership in Plant City is small. It's not very nice. But the campus in Tampa is across the street from the stadium of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's an unbelievable campus. The
Mhm.
dorms, the Hawks Land that they call, you have like your bedroom for yourself with a suite. It's unbelievable life. Here he was sharing the bedroom with other
Mhm.
guys, two per bedroom here in Lake United. And it happens over and over. Rafa is our goalkeeper coach right now. Was the same thing. Went to West Florida, dropped. He was a goalkeeper like yourself, dropped. It was a David Elkins, paying almost 20K in West Virginia. Went to West Florida, Pensacola with a LAC, and he sent me an auto message, 3 minute auto message, a year ago saying, "I've never loved my life so much. Thank you for that. Thank you for making me drop soccer. It wasn't the only answer. Now dropping playing because Rafa now he's working with us, as a goalkeeper coach here for the summer. So working as a volunteer goalkeeper coach for West Florida women's soccer youth club. Like it's just opened up so much with that honesty. So I'm not giving honest to hurt you or to hit you. I'm doing that to set up the path straight. Now I don't know. I could have been wrong about Fernando Cano's life and ideas and pathways, but it's one of my biggest missions to read the people where what's the best for them and what could change actually their lives. So again, I think all these agencies, in my opinion, most of them are missing that little or that huge part of honesty, tough honesty, if you're supposed to make money with that guy, doing the right way. If you're not supposed to, sorry, you're not for me. I do a lot, Igor. I do a lot, guys. I want to play Lakeland United. I'll have the money. It's not for you. After I get to know them, it's not the moment. It could hurt me because I might need him as a player or financially. I'm like, this is not gonna work, you know. But again, I always think a year, 2 years in advance, and things always fall into place like a Tetris at the end, you know.
Yeah, for sure. What's something that soccer taught you that still shows up in your life every day?
Um, that is a tremendous question. I think the ability, I was gonna say, to follow, to follow leadership, to follow. I think the ability to listen, learn. This sounds very cliche as well, but work as a group, work as a community. But like the ability that there's no right or wrong, the ability of context. That's the word that I love. The ability of perceiving and identifying context. Right? You're not good for me, but you're good for the next guy. Right? Talking here tactically or personality wise, we've had players like Lakeland United. They're tough, old school center backs, and we like to play too much out of the back. And it's context. They went somewhere else and they're killing it, right? The ability to not take things personal, listen, learn, create that environment as a group and learn and continue in the pathway, with different people and different personalities building a scenario. So when I think about soccer, the way we run our club, so many personalities, sometimes egos and wishes and desires and dreams, how can you have a unified company with 50 people amongst players and staff, uh, and you acknowledge everybody, and you're giving back to everybody, and you are fulfilling everybody's pathway and dream? That's tough, man. That's tough. I think if you put away and put in life, it's the same thing. And the ability to think soccer, I'm a little bit annoying with that as company business, right? Oh, the other day, a guy that I love and I respect so much, Danilo, right back, Flamengo right now, World Cup, and Man City, Juventus, Real Madrid. Danilo gave an interview saying, unfortunately, soccer has become a business, and we're losing the passion, and everything's business driven. Yeah, but when it wasn't, the clubs in Brazil were owing $700 million or reais, Brazilian reais. It was just a sandcastle. So no, it always has been, because it's a
Mm-hmm.
company in the capitalist world that we live in, whether you like it or not, the capitalism system, it is the only way to form, a group, of people, of actions, of processes and work. You got to think it as a business. You got to think as processes, right? So that's another thing that soccer has given me so much. When I look at our club and I look at the clubs that right now have the private, entities taking over around the world, I love him. Like, that's the way to run a company, not the way we know in Brazil, very
Yeah.
political and very divided, and me, and my wish, and the election that has never, it used to work. It never worked. They were
Mm-hmm.
winning maybe, but owing big money, not
Yeah.
paying people, cheating on
Mm-hmm.
people. It never worked. And there's no one way, but soccer has given that way to think about structure and process in a
Mm-hmm.
business setup.
So, how did you learn those things though? Because I want to go back to the first point, like you mentioned about listening and not taking things personal. But for the athlete that is listening to us right now, their coach comes to them and say, "Look, you are not good enough. I think little Joseph, it's better than you because it is what it is. He's just better than you." How can that athlete not take things personal? How can they listen to that? Um, I don't know. Listen, adapt, learn, and then improve from that.
Yeah, I love that kind of question as well. It's easier for me, that one. Um, Not saying I'm right, but again, but I the way I think this, Igor, I I'm a firm believer that we all smart, um and with high cognitive human beings. Some won't, some because of education, because of finances, they didn't have the chance to grow up educated and and with good thinking and thought processes. But here's what I think: sometimes a 16-year-old comes to me and says something that he firmly believes, I respect that so much. Like his mind is such a construction of, of process, of actions, of history, that I gotta respect that. So the way I used to do it myself as a player, I still do it as a human being today. I have firm beliefs. And the one thing when we talk about generations, I hate that also, that talking about this generation, that generation, it's always been the same, it's cyclical. But the one thing that is also annoying me a little bit, it's not their fault, but because we have so much access to information and to options around the world today, it's just so much easier. You tend to jump from one to the other instead of staying on a pathway of hardship, right? I love hardship. I love challenges. I love it. When our company stops being a challenge every day for me, I think I'm going to lose the appetite a little bit. I'm going to have to create something new. I love it. Wake up, like, if I don't do this today, we're going to bankrupt. We're going to lose. We're going to, But anyway, so I think this is one thing that the young generation, they have to go back to a little bit more, embrace the challenge. Now, however, this is the way I've always thought in my life, and I keep doing it. There's a line on the sand, there's a marking spot that if it crosses from me, I'm out. So the way I teach that to the kids and the way I try to live my life is this. The question was, no, you deal with that, the negative and the you're not good enough, or some sort of some sort of reasoning that somebody has that you're not in line with, don't agree with it. I will respect, and this is me, work my best to still be successful in that world, that guy, and learn the construction that I have today. I have 5 coaches in America. I'm a bit of all of them, and I threw in the trash what I didn't like or even hated about him, But I endure the process. And I don't love him completely. I don't love him at all. But there's good things here. I'll continue. And at some point, you got to move away. I'm a firm believer of that because I've done it in my life, right? Just a quick story. When I went to coach Lindsey Wilson, I'm going to leave the specifics out, but I knew I couldn't stay there for over a year. It wasn't because of location, small town. Love Coach Ray, one of the biggest leaders I've ever had. But there was some things in the way things were done that I'm like, I need 9 months here, August to April, and I'm out. And I'm going to put that on my resume, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to, suck it as a sponge, and I'm out. For those 9 months, I probably had to do a lot of things that I wouldn't agree with, like to say this is minimal. This is shouldn't even change the way I act and behave. I'm gonna do my best here, but Igor, I set up a pathway that I will be out in 9 months. I wouldn't stay. If I had to stay for 2-3 years, I would try to break walls that were impenetrable, like trying to open doors. Like, I want to do this here and I can't. Yes, you cannot, because it's run by different people than you. It's not. So I talked to people here in the staff today. Andrea, our director of marketing, is going to the Benfica Academy right now, is doing different things in the near future. And I tell them there's no right or wrong. Some things you're going to agree with the way our leadership is, some things you won't. It's your choice, and it's actually your responsibility to see, okay, I can stay with this and grow with this, or it's too much for me. My personality resides somewhere else, some other type of pathway, So I always tell to the kids, be strong, courageous, fight through it, endure the hardship. If you see that with all that you can give, you're not being successful. I'm not talking about the coach is unfair, he's not selecting me. That's small pettiness for me, But maybe he's not selecting you because of a couple structural, philosophical things that you guys are not aligned. Move, because you're gonna be in a place that you won't progress,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One of the last questions I have for you. So, if one of your players that you either coached or recruited comes to you 10 years from now and say, Tawan, you changed my life, what do you hope they will be talking about?
Wow. Man, it was all good questions all along, and you killed that one. Jeez. Fuck. I'm gonna keep it basic with what I've lived my whole life. My dad, my mom as well. My dad has helped me so much with that, which is since I've been doing this interview, cheesy and cliche, I'm gonna continue in the same pathway. Follow your dreams. I love that. I think the biggest win I can have in life as a leader somehow, if I am one, is the kid telling me, Coach, I went 15 years without following my dreams. Maybe he was playing soccer already, but he wasn't following his dreams. And now you help me follow my dreams. I don't sound like there's the right way again. I don't want to sound all cliche with that, but Steve Jobs used to say, the only way to be successful doing something you love, and I hate to come up with this rule because it's not a rule, and I know there's people out there having to pay for their kids' meal, and there's no dream, there's no, follow. You gotta survive, man, and I hate when I see people on Instagram, just follow your dream, just work hard. You have no idea, man. Maybe a mother of 4 kids by herself, abandoned by the fathers. Shut up, it's life. It's not like that. But if you can, and a lot of people do it even through the hardship, they do it, and I respect that so much. I haven't had that many hardship in my life, to be honest, like what's out there in comparison. But that will be the number one for me. I follow my dream. I love my job every day. I love our life's easy. Love your wife, your kids. It's way easier. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing ever, but it's way easier. Love your job, your career, loving the hardship of your career. I love the hardship of Lakeland United. When I'm doing some things that people find annoying, spreadsheets and finance, I'm like, wow, thank you, God, for allowing me to do that and to live through that, because I just love it. I could be making way more money right now, Igor, with my life and career at this point, with some people that have offered me things here and there, and I'm like, you cannot buy that. Steve Jobs said as well that Microsoft used to offer double the salary of Apple. I don't know if today, of course, Steve Jobs now with us anymore, but like the way Apple has grown and its stuff, it's one of my dreams of our company grow, and it's a huge company and have layers and layers and layers, where I'll be able to still touch the people on the bottom, the people with the beginner jobs in the company, the interns. I want you, but I know it's going to be tough if it grows that size. But Steve Jobs, I love his interviews, all of them. He used to say, Microsoft making 50K here, they offer me 100K, and said, nope, I'm part of a bigger mission than money, right? I'm one of those guys, so if I can turn kids that way, again, when I die, I'll ask God if I did the right thing, but with love, passion, believing in God, believing in truth and honesty, that would be my biggest dream. 10, 15, 100 kids saying, Coach, I follow my dream today. Wow, I have a job that I love. I think that's a big win for me. But that's because that's who I am, Igor. Again, some people don't follow their passions. They're completely happy. It's okay,
I don't know if they are, but I understand your point. Tawan, thanks so much for joining me. It was awesome. I love to dive into people's mindset and understand how they think a little bit. I'm sure a lot of people will find this not only interesting, but they will learn something. And from players to coaches, I think this is huge. So I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much. Again, the old cliche and cheesy saying, if you change one life, if one person watched this and change their pathway, it was worth it. But the main thing was worth it. Just the conversation, just also one thing that I would say makes me alive. It makes me want to live my life every day, having these kind of conversations. It's been a while that I haven't done one of those, and then it was amazing. Man, we could have been going here for 4 hours, and I would have stayed, but it was awesome.
100%. We're gonna definitely have to do another episode because
we're doing it in person here in Lakeland. We'll schedule that.
Awesome.
Thank you.